Good morning. Happy Easter. For me, it's Easter. For you guys, it is after Easter. So today, my husband and I will be going to my parents' house to celebrate Easter dinner, and they have asked me to make a couple of sides, and I am going to be making myself a gluten-free dessert because they bought a carrot cake and it's not gluten-free and I can't have it. So I'm going to make my own sponge cake and strawberry topping. And the sides that I'm going to be bringing, one of them is not gluten-free because it was a request from my husband. He absolutely loves green bean casserole, and as we all know, these are not gluten-free. And I did not take enough time to make gluten-free ones, so I'm just not going to eat the green bean casserole. The other thing I'm going to make is I'm going to make sweet yams, marshmallow topped, but a little twist. On the back of most canned yams is a recipe for marshmallow topped sweet yams. And I'm going to use this recipe, and I'll read the ingredients off to you. Originally, I was going to put all this together at my dad's house. We were just going to go a little bit early, and I was going to prep it all. But we've decided that we are going to go a little bit later in the day. I just got out of the bath, and so I'm going to prep and cook these at home and then take them over to his house already done. The twist on this is I'm going to add a crumble topping, and yes, it's gluten-free, so I can actually have this. And I'm going to use my dehydrated marshmallows, and then the sauce inside will rehydrate these and then melt them, and then they'll be super, super good. So they'll be super, super good. The sponge cake, I downloaded a recipe, and I'm going to cut it in half because I'm going to make them in these little bud cake silicone baking muffin tins? I don't know what to call them. I made some gluten-free chocolate with these, and it was first time I used that recipe. And if I had not used imitation banana in it, they would have been good. But the banana extract, it was imitation banana extract, tasted very metallic. Ate like 4 of them, threw the rest of them out. But I know that if I use real bananas in them, because I love bananas and chocolate, I don't want to put vanilla extract in it because I like the taste of bananas in my chocolate. But I'll use real bananas, and I'll substitute some of the wet for the banana. And the next time I make it, I will show you how I make that recipe. But today is the sponge cake. Sorry if I'm a little congested. It is super rainy outside. Let me show you the video, a short little video of just, it's Easter and it's muggy and rainy. And because of that, my sinuses are just so clogged. All right, so let's get to making these sides, and then we'll make the gluten-free sponge cake. So in my slow cooker, I am going to put 1 full can of the yams. I'm not going to drain them because I have dehydrated marshmallows and they need the moisture. So on the back of this can has the recipe, and I will read that to you. And this is for 2 cans, and I'm only going to do 1 can. So the recipe on here states 2 cans of canned yams, 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of butter melted, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, a 1/2 cup of half and half, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and a cup of mini marshmallows. Now I'm only going to do 1 can. I have cut all that in half on this because, again, I was going to take it with my dad to my dad's. So I'm going to pour all of these in here. My butter is very cold, but this will heat up. I am going to have to go grab a spatula. That is it. And what I'm going to do is cook this for about 2.5 hours on high. Once that's all cooked and I can mash down the yams, then I will add the marshmallows. And then about half an hour, 45 minutes before it is completely done, I have, and I'm going to be doing that at my dad's house, I have this mixture. And it is just, it's gluten-free flour with brown sugar. You can mix this at any ratio you want. I do 2 parts of brown sugar to 1 part flour, and I sprinkle it over the top. I am probably not going to use this whole thing, but I made enough to make quite a bit more, and it should keep. I should be able to just throw this in my freezer and use it the next time I'm going to make some of this yam casserole. So the next recipe is not gluten-free, but I do have a gluten-free green bean casserole recipe in my videos. If you just search my videos, back in November I did one that was gluten-free. It did not have crunchy onions, but it did have caramelized onions in it. But this is not going to be gluten-free. Making it traditional as per requested. My family likes it with the French fried onions. So in it, I'm going to put 3 cans of green beans, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, 1 can of cream of celery soup. I'm going to put a half a can of condensed milk and then equal part water, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and seasoned salt. And then we will mix in half of this in the mixture to let it cook down. And then at the very end, I will add a crunchy topping of this. If you want the gluten-free recipe, go ahead and scroll through my videos and find my November gluten-free green bean casserole dish. Let's get started on this recipe. I opened and completely drained each can. Get as much of the fluid as you possibly can out because you're adding milk in. You can also add, and I'm not going to because my dad does not like mushrooms, but you can add a can of diced mushrooms into this and it'll make it even better. But my dad does not like fungi. He is not a fan, so I'm not adding it. All right, so I'm going to add a bunch of seasoned salt. You can also use salt-free. I do have that, but I'm using seasoned salt. Add a lot of pepper. Some onion powder. Wow. That hit me in the face. Garlic powder. Your milk, it's actually 1.5 cups. I'm going to mix in both of the soups. Ooh, I'm still feeling that garlic and onion. Whew. Must be because it's muggy out. It just doesn't want to dissipate very well. It just kind of hangs around. Leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys did for your Easter. I would love to hear what kind of things you guys did. What are your traditions? Or if you celebrate Easter. Not everybody does. Give this a stir. Not going to get all the lumps out because, again, it's not hot. So it's not, all the lumps aren't going to go away. You could put it in a mixer and blend it. That is an option. I don't want to dirty anything more than I have to. Stir this in. Now we're going to add half of the green bean, or half of the half of the French fried onions, or Walmart brand of. And then you are basically done. All you got to do is turn this on, let it cook for a few hours. So let's get on to the sponge cake. So let's get on to making this gluten-free sponge cake. So first off, I've got to separate my egg whites from my egg yolk. So I'm going to put my whites in this little cup, and the yolks will go into the mixer. I'm halving this recipe, so instead of 4, I'm putting 2 eggs because I don't need a huge cake. It's just going to probably be me eating it. So 1 egg yolk. This is the first time I'm making this recipe, so we'll see how well it turns out. The chocolate one came out beautiful. 2nd egg yolk. We'll put the egg whites off to the side. Okay, so to that I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of sugar. If you're going to make the full batch, it's 3/4 cup, but you're only going to put a 1/2 cup of that in if you make the full batch. So 4 tablespoons of sugar. I still need this for the egg whites. And then I'm going to beat this on high until it's pale yellow. And now we're going to sift in, and I'm going to weigh this. 44 grams of flour. I think I'll use my lid. And this is sifted, so we have to weigh it, and then I gotta sift it. And now I'm going to use my sieve. What I'm going to do is use my little bowl, because this is going to dribble. You also want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which is what I'm doing right now. Also sift in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I don't have cornstarch, so I'm using potato starch. And then add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have 1/8 teaspoon here, so I'm going to do 2. All right, now I'm going to put this back onto the mixer. And we're going to mix it in. I'm going to start real low. I would love to use my KitchenAid But I don't have any of the attachments. I just have all the stuff that goes on the front, a bunch of that. I need to get all that other stuff. I think I'm going to mix it in with my spatula. It seems like it'll work better. If you have a KitchenAid, use your KitchenAid. It'll work just fine. You just mix it until it's very well blended. And then you will transfer this into another bowl. You'll wash out your mixer bowl or go get another nice clean one. I'm just going to wash this one out. And we're going to start with the egg whites and the cream of tartar. So as soon as I get this all well combined, I'm going to add the last bit of sugar, and that'll be 2 tablespoons. All right, so I got stiff peaks. So now I'm going to take that mixture that we made. I'm going to turn it down to low. And I'm going to slowly add this into the mixture. It's kind of stiff. Well, it's really stiff. And then last, you're going to add a little bit of vanilla extract. I don't have vanilla extract, so I'm using some of my Laura Ann flavoring. And if you're using vanilla extract and you're doing a full-size recipe, it's 1 teaspoon. I will also put the recipe at the end of this video. All right, so then you're going to pour this into your baking dish. And you'll need to prepare your baking dish. You need to grease this, unless you're using silicone, so that it doesn't stick. If you're going to put it in a 9-inch round cake pan, you will need to bake it for, I need to read this, because I'm not going to bake it in a 9-inch cake pan, about 35 minutes, or until when you stick a toothpick in, it comes out clean. But I'm not doing it in a cake pan. As you saw, I'm doing them in little miniature bundt cakes. So I want to catch all of my egg white mixture into this batter. I would say if I did this again, I would add a little bit more moisture to the egg yolk part, because that batter per se is very dense and stiff, and there's some pieces in here that has not blended in with the egg whites. So I would say add just a little bit of water to make it a little bit more fluid-like. It's not so like a cookie dough. You want it more fluid-like. So I'm going to use these. Let me grab I hear the rain. It's really starting to rain now. Let me grab a sheet pan. And let me clean up a little bit, and then I'll grab a sheet pan, and then we're going to pour this up. Grab myself some coconut spray. And I'm not sure how many of these we'll make, but I'll spray a bunch. And if I need to spray more, I will. Grab a spoon. You would think I would be prepared for this. Oh my goodness, it's really coming down now. And that's how it looks. Not bad. I still think that I would much rather make the yolk part dough a little bit more runny, but we'll see what it tastes like. right? That's all that matters. You could probably put this in a piping bag if you wanted to do this. I have piping bags. I just didn't think about it until just now. Or pour it all into a 9-inch round cake pan. If you make the full recipe and not a half like I did. Sorry, that was a big chunk that wasn't blended. All right, it filled all of my available cups here that I had. I have some more in the drain rack, but I don't need those. So I'm going to stick these in a 350-degree oven. Probably bake them for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to poke them with a toothpick and see if they're done, and then make adjustments. Because I'm not making a 9-inch cake, I have to try to play with the time on this. So I'll be back and I'll let you know how long it took to bake. So while the sponge cake is baking, let's make the strawberry topping. So these are my, I got these out of my garden a couple of years ago, and I froze them. And so I have so many strawberries. So I decided to thaw them out. I added a little bit of sugar to try to make a little bit of a syrup. And I am going to add a little bit more powdered sugar to try to make the syrup just a little bit thicker as I take the lid off my sugar. This is one jar that these lids didn't, I got these lids off of Temu, and every one of them works really great except for all my powdered sugar. This is a ball jar, and they don't really fit the ball jars very well. They fit the cars really good, but I struggle with the ball, and I'm almost tempted to put my original lid back on it because it just doesn't want to go on there. All right, so I'm going to mix this all up and let it soak. It should thicken up because powdered sugar has cornstarch in it, or if you want to, you just put cornstarch in it and not put the sugar. All right, guys, I'm just going to let this thicken, wait for my sponge cake to get done, and then I'll show you what it looks like.
To the family memory. Family memory. Sometimes families' traditions are formed from desperation. It was Easter 1978. Troy was 8, Brett 6, and Brandon 4. Greg was in his first year of college, and we were very poor. Through the blessing of others, we had made it through Christmas. Now it was Easter time, and still there was no money. As I shopped for bare necessities of food, I noticed the fancy Easter baskets all wrapped in cellophane with such fun treasures and candy inside. We barely had enough money to purchase a dozen eggs and 50 cents for the coloring dye. How were we going to purchase the basket? I soon remembered that the packaged baskets were mostly artificial grass with very little candy and a toy. We could buy some candy, but no toy or basket. But what to put in it? The kid's hat for the basket was the answer. So on Saturday night, after coloring the Easter egg, we had the kids get their own hat. The eggs were placed in a bowl on the table along with their hats set upside down, waiting for the Easter bunny to fill and hide. This became the reason for the Easter hats, which is a tradition carried out on our family. They also solved the problem of the child finding someone else's Easter basket. As they found a hat, they knew whether it was theirs or not. That's their true story of the Easter hat instead of bonnet. I came to realize, as I have been pondering Easter and Christ's resurrection and atonement, I have come to realize that the world does not put much emphasis on the true reason for Christmas and Good Friday. I feel that Easter should be the most important holiday, even more than Christmas. Easter is why we had Christmas.
Modular.
I then started thinking of what happened on Good Friday and thought of the cruelty that Christ had to us so endure. So Friday didn't seem so good. I'm sharing some quotes from Elder Joseph B. Worthland from October 26, 2006. He said, "On that Friday, the Savior of mankind was humiliated and bruised, abused, and reviled. It was Friday filled with a devastating, consuming sorrow that gnawed at the souls of those who loved and honored the Son of God. I think that all the days since the beginning of this world's history, that Friday was the darkest. But the doom of that day did not endure. The despair did not linger, because on Sunday the resurrected Lord burst the bonds of death. He ascended from the grave and appeared gloriously triumphant as the Savior of all mankind. In an instant, the eyes that had been filled with ever-flowing tears dried. The lips had whispered prayers of distress and grief, now filled the air with wondrous praise for Jesus, the Christ, Son of the living God, stood before him as the fruits of the resurrection, the proof that death is merely the beginning of a new and wondrous existence. Each of us will have our own Fridays, those days when the universe itself seems shattered and the shards of our world lie littered about us in pieces. We will all experience those broken times when it seems we can never be put together again. We all have our Fridays. But I testify to you in the name of the one who conquered death, Sunday will come. In the darkness of our sorrow, Sunday will come. No matter how desperate, no matter how grieved, Sunday will come. Here's a one-liner that goes along with this thought. We will go through our Fridays. Because of Christ, we won't go through it alone. May each have a wonderful Easter day and know that because he is risen, we will too have a wonderful Easter. With love, Candy and Greg.
Interesting family history.
Mm-hmm.
Almighty Heavenly Father, as we gather as family to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Christ Jesus, your Son that you gave to us as a gift for our salvation, we thank you for all the wonderful things that you have given us over the past year as well. We thank you, dear Lord, for this food from thy bounty, and humbly ask you to bless it, enable strength and nourishment to our bodies, wisdom to our minds, love to our hearts, and understanding when we read your scriptures. And we ask this humbly in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
He is risen. He is risen indeed.
Yep.
Well, hey guys, it's a few days after Easter. I had to take some time off. I didn't feel well after Easter. Apparently, I accidentally got glutened, but that was my fault. Anyways, it is beautiful out. You can see the gorgeous sky, and I wanted to show you where my plants are at this point. And let me flip you around, and I'll actually show you how well they're doing. All right, guys, here they are. Natural sun is so much easier. These are my onions, and some of them have actually started their second little leaf. I don't know if you can see that. There's one right there, and I do believe there's one around over here somewhere. But some of them have started their second leaf, which means that they've made their second round. In other words, it's not just the original bulb anymore, it actually has its first round starting. So these guys, let me see here. I have parsley right there. This is Brussels sprouts. Look at how well them guys are doing. These are my California Wonder bell peppers. And this is my dill right here. They're doing really good. And my little basil. Got some more in here, some basil. That's also a basil. I also have over here, I have some flowers. I can't remember what the names of them are, but I have some really great flowers. And then my one lowly cantaloupe just came up yesterday. So I'm hopeful that the other ones will come up also. So let's get back inside and let's finish off this gluten-free sponge cake with a strawberry drizzle. All right, so now we're back inside. I have a few of these left. They're still in their little silicone cups. They're super easy to pop out. All you got to do is turn it inside out. Turn this inside out. It's kind of hard sometimes. Take your plate, turn it over, and it just pops out. Look at how wonderful that looks. It's so good. All right. So now that we got one popped out, I got some stuff on my hands. Let me grab a towel. I have this is fresh frozen strawberries I got out of my garden, gosh, almost 2 years ago. So it's time to use them. So I'm going to put a little bit on this plate. I'll probably add a little bit more because it's strawberries. And I actually made this. I made it soupy like this with actually monk fruit. I did not use any sugar. So this particular one, the only sugar is the actual strawberries. Look at how good that looks. That looks phenomenal. All right, so let's give this a try. Grab my spoon. It's super spongy and moist. Even a couple of days later, I kept them in a Ziploc bag. This is so good. It's not dry. I've had regular sponge cake in the past. The texture is slightly different than, say, a regular sponge cake, but the sweetness so makes up for it. And the fact that it's so soft. I ate 4 of these at our Easter dinner. They were so good. If you make this, come back to this video and leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. I would not change anything in this recipe. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will put the recipe at the very end of this video so you can make this yourself. I will put it as its full size and not like I did where I cut it in half. And if you decide to cut it in half, just divide everything in half. But if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll get notified each time I upload one of these videos. And until the next upload, bye.